Okay, so you can start by writing down this message that is above me. Okay, and this is the last part of your first message that you'll be creating as you create your own adventure. So by the end of you writing this down, you should be able to read out an entire full message and understand how it relates to the concepts that I've been talking about so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the idea that how the medium is the message. This is arguably McLuhan's most famous statement. These words have a great impact on modern media theories and modern philosophies surrounding technology. So the personal and the social consequences of these extensions or these tools that we use every day result from, this is a direct quote from the McLuhan reading, result from the new scale that is introduced into our affairs by each extension of ourselves or by any new technology. So this means that the medium itself has an effect on society's structure, on the social structures, and how people act within these structures. So when technologies mediate the construction of society, as they often do, there are many social changes that come along with it. So when a new type of medium takes over and becomes very dominant in a society, many social changes follow. A real-life example of how the medium is the message would be the factory system during the industrial age. The factory system, which was fueled by the assembly line, changed the way products were made. It increased efficiency, and it started the revolution of mass production, and of course, which came with that, mass consumerism. So, the products created were not as important as the effects that the factory system had on the people and the society at the time. The medium of the factory had an immense influence on the social conditions during the industrial age, so not just the products themselves. So Fordism is used not only to describe the assembly line and the factory-based standardization of mass production, but also the social changes that came about. So according to the factory system reading, it says this: at its core, then, rationalization is a worldview as much as a social process. It is not only the ability to master problems by measurement and calculation, but also an inclination to see problems as subject to this kind of solution. So, the factory system changed ways of thought. It changed the culture, and especially the workforce during the industrial age. So the consumer culture of mass consumerism began its rise as large amounts of products, and specifically the Model T with Fordism, which was a car, mass amounts of these products were able to be distributed. The division of labor that the factory system had when it made one person work on one task repeatedly, this changed the way that men worked, and it caused a shift of people working in rural areas, in farms, and doing lots of different tasks in one day, to people working in more urban areas in a factory in order to provide for their families, doing the same repetitive task every day. So the idea that it moved from rural to urban, this shift, also brought along things like labor unions, people looking for better working conditions and things like that, since they were now working in factories, which often called for better working conditions. So the way that the medium of the factory affected society was so immense that it outweighed the importance of the Model T cars that were being sold. In a way, it totally changed the way people worked and lived in that society. As I said before, there were cultural changes and work changes. So, as McLuhan said in his reading, technologies and mediums are reshaping and restructuring patterns of social interdependence and every aspect of our personal life. He says your family, your education, your neighborhood, your job, your government, and your relation to others are changing dramatically. So the technologies that run our society are those that change how we live within the society. Just like the factory system changed the way that people lived their lives during the industrial age. So now that we've finished the first message, you can go ahead, look down and read it. Think about the message that you have developed through clicking the different videos and how it might relate to what I've said. So it's time to try creating another message. At this point, click here to view the second half of the video, or if you have already done both messages already, then just please click here for the conclusion.